One of Hollywood's best-known film legends is here today, and I'm one of his biggest fans. I can't wait to meet him. Stay with us.
Go. Proclaim liberty throughout all the land, unto all the inhabitants thereof.
When you think of Charlton Heston, you think of the man who started out playing legends and then became one. As Moses, he parted the Red Sea in the Ten Commandments. He was El Cid and has portrayed cardinals and cowboys, kings and quarterbacks, presidents and painters, cops and con men. In 1959, the moment of recognition happened for Heston. The picture was Ben-Hur, and the rave reviews by the critics were echoed by his peers. Charlton Heston, Ben-Hur! Heston has continued to be a box office champion for the past 3 decades. In the 60s, he made monkey business popular with Planet of the Apes, and in the 70s, he even made disaster successful with Earthquake and Airport 75. Charlton Heston is not only a gifted actor, he is also a world-renowned director. 2 years ago, he was invited to China to direct a play in Chinese, and without even knowing the language, he made it a huge hit. He writes about that project in a new book called Beijing Diary. It's the latest chapter in the life of a true legend. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Charlton Heston.
All my cousins.
Well, they would like to be. Those jokes about can he fix the economy, can he fix the United States,
No,
can he
only
fix
I
the
could
world?
park the pool outside.
Exactly. Does that
You
get
notice what a
tiring?
nice morning it is?
It is a beautiful
For late
morning.
November?
Thank
Sunshine?
you, God.
You're welcome. Glad to do it. I must tell you, I'm leaving Friday morning, so after that, I'm not responsible. If it rains or something, or get a cold spell.
Not for the rest of our lives, I hope. Does that become wearing? Does that tiring that they do that, all the kind of pseudo-religious God jokes?
No,
You know?
I'm glad they remember those parts.
That is nice. It really is. From a legend...
What I worry about is I think they think I really do fix the weather.
Yes.
Well, I do it.
That would bother me, that omnipotence. Go back to the person who became the legend. You grew up in Michigan?
Yes. Very small backwoods community. I went to a one-room school that had 13 pupils in 8 grades, 3 of whom were my cousins. And I was the only one in my grade, so obviously I was valedictorian of my class.
No class reunions.
No class reunions.
Well, that you're saved. All the people in the world who say, I went to school with him, they can't say that about you.
Not about up in Michigan.
No.
When I went to high school, and of course, Northwestern, that was another thing, but...
Dad was what was he doing up there? He was a logger?
No, he was a land developer. It was very much in my memory sort of a Tom Sawyer boyhood. You know, hunting and fishing and trapping and canoeing, and it was kind of I suppose it had something to do with my becoming an actor, because all kids play pretend games, except I guess now they play Nintendo, but they still do. And I probably did it more than most kids, because I was by myself more, and I would act out the books I'd read, and books my parents read me. And then when I went to a suburb of Chicago to go to high school, where, to my great good fortune, was supposed to be the best public high school in the country, and they had a marvelous theater program, and that, I think that put my foot on that path, because I didn't know you could make a living acting. You can't, actually, but statistically you can. But I won a scholarship, an acting scholarship to Northwestern, where I got the rest of my training and met my wife, and here we are.
Were you lonely as a child?
Yes. When I was a little kid, I didn't think of it that way, because there were just no kids my age, and I had lots of stuff to do out in the woods. But in high school, I was kind of miserable. I think all high school kids are miserable. You just don't realize everybody else is too. You think you're the only one that's unhappy in the world. But adolescence is a tough time.
Were you a boy who was popular with the girls?
No.
No one wanted to date the man
well,
who would
I
be...
was, for one thing, I was skinny and I was kind of a runt until I was about 16. And also I was a sort of a backwoods kid, you know. I didn't know how to dance or how to drive. I wasn't even equipped. I'd never played any team sports. You know, there weren't enough kids to make up even a bowling team. And half of the 13 there were girls, you know. And a couple of those were my cousins, so that's kind of nowhere. I went to this great high school, but I tried out for football, got a broken nose out of it, which vastly improved my nose. I got a lot of parts out of that nose, but it wasn't much of a football career. I came there equipped only for the chess team and the rifle team, and that doesn't really make for a great social career in high school, believe me.
We were talking earlier, and I said that almost every boy at that era had to have a car, some kind of a car.
Not me. No, we were kind of on the lower end of the economic scale in what was otherwise an affluent suburb of Chicago, and I didn't have any car. I didn't know how to drive anyway.
When did you learn?
Sort of by osmosis, when I started going with my wife at Northwestern.
Okay, hold that story. The young man's parents got divorced when he was about...
10. Bad time. Probably the most traumatic experience of my life.
Why? What way?
I think at that age you think it's your fault.
Yeah.
I heard somebody nodding, huh? Yeah. Anyone that's been through that, it was a bad time for me. I suppose it's marked my life still. My character is, I've been a public person for 40 years, but I'm still basically kind of a private person. This is me you're talking to, but at the same time it isn't entirely me.
Because there are lights on, and there are people out there.
Yeah. And I know how to do this.
Well,
it's what I do.
is it conscious that you do that anymore?
No.
It just comes?
No, it's...
When the lights go on and
Sure.
the people are there?
I think any public people, particularly performers, it's part of your persona. But I spend, because of my work and my public identity, I spend an awful lot of time. I don't mean just doing interviews, that too, but in private life, I don't much like to go to parties because I have to go to parties a lot. And I do that, you know, and they're okay. I enjoy them. I enjoy meeting people, talking to people. But I guess what I most like to do when I'm not working, I have a ridge with just about everything I want on it. I've got tennis court, library, projection room, my family, except for my kids who don't live there now, my friends, and my gym. I can do almost all the things I want to do except work right there.
Without leaving the premises?
Yeah. Often I'll stay there for days at a time. There are coyotes around there. It's a beautiful part of Los Angeles.
Where is it?
In Beverly Hills, in the hills part of Beverly Hills. Believe it or not, there are hills in Beverly Hills.
To those of us who don't know California, that sounds like... They say that a man comes to grips with his attitude toward women because of his identification with his mother. When your parents got divorced, did you stay with Mom?
Yes. My mother remarried almost at once. And I don't know that I would sign that statement, though. or what you just said. I believe men and women are very different species. I know that's an unfashionable attitude, but women are not like men, thank God.
Or thank Charlton. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Know you, and I know you.
Baptize me, John.
What is your name?
Jesus.
We're back with our special guest, Charlton Heston. 60 films in Hollywood.
Not all in Hollywood, all over the world, I guess, really. I can't think how many different countries I've worked in. It's certainly at least 15 or 20. And they used to, in the old days, they used to make movies on studio backlots. But about the time I came into film, they started going on locations. And now, well, I just finished shooting in London and around in England on a film. And I've made, I suppose, 6 pictures in England, 4 or 5 in Spain, 2 or 3 in Italy, Norway, Nigeria.
So you learn a lot of geography as
Yes,
all
you
of
do.
this goes
Yes, you
along.
do.
Was there a point in time at which you said, I want to be an actor? Was that in entering Northwestern?
Oh, certainly by Northwestern,
By that
because I
time.
went there on an acting scholarship to the theater school. I think probably at New Trier, when I realized they had a big, the high school I went to, they had a very significant theater program too. And it gave me an outlet, something I could do, and felt comfortable. I think there's a misconception about why people become performers. They think that, and I think for maybe singers and dancers and comedians who do kind of presentational performances, they say, no, the next song I want to sing is a number I first heard in Wichita Falls, and I hope you like it. And they're talking to the people they're singing to. Actors are pretending to be other people. I remember when my son was about 6 or 7 years old, and they have a thing in school where the kids get up and they say what their fathers do for a living. And he stood up and he said, my dad pretends to be people. Which is about it. But for a lot of actors, the people you pretend to be are people you would like to be. And it's a very important part of the motivation, I think.
Can you play somebody you hate?
You can play someone who's a bad person. I've played several. But you have to be able to empathize with them. You have to say, yeah, I understand how he feels. If you can't do that, you can't play them. Now, and I've played, Long John Silver in Treasure Island. Did anybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Silver, especially as we did it, we tried to do not the jolly pirate that couple of the other films have done, but what Stevenson wrote, which is a really bad man, like a Colombian drug dealer. The fact that he will kill you. And the fact that he's a very able man, a very engaging, plausible man, a man who in another life could have been an admiral, doesn't change the fact that he's a murderer and a thief and a liar. But I understood him. And I played him from that standpoint.
Have you ever been a wimp?
I think the broken nose makes it impossible.
Yeah.
Wimps don't have noses like that.
So you really never played a wimp?
Well, an actor is stuck with his physical equipment. Some actors have perfectly neutral equipment. The greatest actor of the 20th century, Laurence Olivier, was neither very tall nor certainly not short. I think he was just a hair under 6 feet. He had not a heavy bass voice, nor certainly not a light Jack Lemmon kind of tenor. No, Jack's a marvelous actor, but I mean, he has a light voice quality. Olivier's voice was kind of in the middle. Indeed, when he played Othello, he added a half octave lower and gave what was probably the memorable Othello of the century, maybe of all time, maybe the memorable performance by anybody in any part. His face, when he was young, was quite handsome, but didn't have exaggerated features with things sticking out there and so on. So he could become anybody.
Perfect actor equipment.
Yes,
right?
Aside from the fact that he had the most talent of any actor.
I wanted to
But, say, Dustin Hoffman has parts he can't play physically, and so do I. I could never, even when I was young enough to play it, I could never play Hamlet or Romeo. Macbeth, Mark Antony, yes. Dustin played a marvelous Shylock. I think he did it here in town, didn't he? I saw it. It was very good. But he couldn't play Macbeth. You know, there are just certain actors that are...
But sometimes you change things. For example, they say you really have gotten in... Michelangelo, you put plastic in your nose.
Michelangelo and Richelieu are the only historical characters I've ever played, and I've played a lot of them, who had bigger noses than I do. So I got to put on phony noses in both cases. But
and for Ben-Hur, you learned to drive a chariot. And I said to myself this morning when I knew I was going to see you, is there a chariot driving school?
No.
Do you call them up and say, bring a chariot by and I'll take driving lessons?
No, there was then, though, a man named Giacomo Canot, who in his day had been the greatest stuntman, invented stunting, really, had become by the late 50s one of the best second-unit directors in film, who directed the chariot race and personally taught me to drive over a period of about 6 weeks. And I became a minimally competent charioteer. I remember as we were closing in on the shooting date to start the picture, and we were going to be doing the race very soon into it. I said, you know, Yak, I can handle this chariot not bad now, but it's just us on the track, the one team. I said, there's going to be 8 teams out there, and I'm not certain I can cut it. And he said, Chuck, you just stay in the chariot. I guarantee you're going to win the damn race.
You said you don't think you could do Hamlet, and if we had more time...
I'm not equipped for it physically.
Well, neither was Sarah Bernhardt.
That's true. That's
and I
true.
wasn't around to see her performance despite the publicity. To the contrary. But is there a role you have always wanted to do that you haven't had a chance to do?
I've played a number of parts that I'd like to play again, the great parts you never get right. I've done 5 Macbeths. I've done Mark Antony in both the plays in which he appears. I've done, in biographical roles, I've done Andrew Jackson twice in different films. I've done, but those guys I suppose of the biographical roles, I've done maybe more than most American actors. And they're more interesting roles, I think.
Will we ever go back to that in movies?
I don't think so, because, for example, people always say, what great man in history that you haven't played would you like to play? Because I've done a dozen or 15 of them. And I've always said, I've always wanted to play the Duke of Wellington, but of course you can't do that without the Battle of Waterloo, and they will never be able to shoot the Battle of Waterloo again.
Will we ever be able to shoot Parting of Seas?
No.
Ready When You Are CB?
No, those pictures are done.
Never again?
They cost too much. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids cost more than Ben-Hur. That's true, really true. And conversely, to make Ben-Hur today, they figured it out on a computer with using the original budget and translating it to today, 127 million nine. So that means those pictures, that's why the studios are re-releasing them in theaters. Lawrence, Ben-Hur, Ten Commandments. I think they're releasing one of the big musicals now, which they also can't make those. But those pictures
Done.
are finished.
What will happen to the art of the film?
Oh,
Will that have
film
been
has
an era, and that era will be over?
But that kind of film, certainly. It's over already. You can't make Bridge in the River Kwai, or those things, Gone with the Wind.
No more extra work. Not
Well,
like
for
that.
one thing, extras cost too much. That's one of the elements of the increased cost, of course.
Charlton Heston has done something that people consider unusual for Hollywood. He's maintained a marriage for either 47 or 48 years, depending upon whether his wife is right or he is right. Because
I think it's going on 49.
I'd like very much for him to introduce her to you, and I'd like to talk about an amazing trip he took to China when we return. Help me with this, because it's not my field. They say the evil that men do lives after them. The good is often
interred with their bones.
Interred with their bones.
The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones.
The good is. Meet some good, or I'd like you to meet some good. Could we have you stand up? All right. This is
John Steniford.
Carolyn Steniford.
Tom Steniford.
and they're going to tell you a story. Who's going to tell the story? Mom? All right. Once upon a time, your son was away in Beirut.
Right.
He was in the service.
That's right. He was in the Marine Corps.
Oh, yes.
And while he was in the Marine Corps, you had kindly called our home and told that you had seen John first. John said, please call my home. And you did, to tell us that he was safe. First of all, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for doing that, sir.
How nice of you to remember that. Thank you.
I want to thank you for the calling us the second time. I believe that you said that maybe you didn't get back to the sheet, and you called us again.
Yes, because I had a list of
it
people.
Was a relief to speak to you.
I'm glad. I wanted to make certain I hit everybody on the list. Thank you.
What was he doing in Beirut? You were a soldier.
I was a Marine in Beirut.
Sorry.
And we were just keeping a multinational peacekeeping force there.
Does that really work as a morale builder?
Well,
When they bring a celebrity by, does that help?
yes, it does.
It does. I often wonder. Thank you very much. Did you learn to fly an airplane?
No, I have played pilots several times. When I played in Airport 76, I spent, a week in Dallas at the 747 simulator there. And it's quite plausible. They have what you see, what you hear, what you feel is exactly the same as in a real aircraft. And then a 747 is not a difficult aircraft to fly. When we were doing second unit, I did fly it, but they didn't let any passengers be on it. And I don't blame them.
2 years ago, Charlton Heston was invited to China to direct a play in Chinese. And he wrote about that project in a wonderful book. And if you're interested in China, in the theater, in him, it's called Beijing Diary. How did the project
In your bookstores
in
today.
Your bookstores. How did the project come about?
I was approached by the Chinese government, which at that time, this was before Tiananmen Square, were interested in exploring a more open kind of culture, a more open kind of government. And the Chinese theater has different traditions. The Chinese opera, even their plays, were done are still, to a certain extent, done in a slightly less realistic style than we're used to here. And they wanted to explore another way of going about doing plays. So they asked me to do The Caine Mutiny Court-Martial by Herman Wouk, which is a play I had done in London and in Los Angeles and in Washington at Kennedy Center.
As an actor, though.
As an actor, but I directed, I acted in it, played Captain Queeg. We all remember Captain Queeg and his steel balls. And but I directed those productions. And since it had been suggested that the Caine Mutiny Court-Martial, being as it is, and kind of an exploration of democracy in action, the democratic process, that it would be a good play to do in China. And since I had kind of a high profile, having done it in several different places, I was suggested as director. And it was the kind of thing you just can't turn down, you know. I thought, boy, what an odd thing to do. I don't know. But I thought, if I turn it down, then in 6 months somebody says, what happened? Weren't you going to do a play in China? And I'd say, well, yeah, but this movie came up at Fox, and I didn't go, actually. I didn't do it. And I thought I'd never forgive myself. And it was a fascinating experience. My wife, Lydia, came with me and did the photography on it. And we were there 2 months. I had not one word of Mandarin. No one in the cast or the company had any English. I had a superb translator, 2 translators, in fact. One was sort of a gopher who did messages and took things, you know, ran errands. And the other one had to be by me practically every waking minute that I was in the theater, because I couldn't speak to anybody except through her. And it worked very well, except that I came to feel that, wait a minute, these guys are being directed by my marvelous interpreter, not by me. And I kept trying to think of ways to get around this. And I had no trouble following what they were doing, because I knew the play very well. From the second day of rehearsal, I could tell what speech they were doing and all that. But I finally thought, I learned the Mandarin to say in Mandarin, you please stand over there, let me be you in this scene. And then I would do that actor's part in English, and the other actors would be playing in Chinese. But again, when they stop speaking, it's your turn. And it was very useful. It wasn't so much that I gave them, that I told them how to read the lines, because they couldn't understand what I was saying. They knew the speech in Mandarin, but they could read what? The body temperature, the emotional climate of the scene. And it really worked, and also it was a lot of fun. I think they enjoyed it as much as I did. I wasn't getting to act at all, and I was feeling frustrated. But one of the things I remember most, the play, as some of you saw it or know about it, is about a court-martial of an incompetent, indeed psychologically disturbed commander. And he's sitting, as all the witnesses do, on a chair on a slightly raised dais, raised maybe about as high as I'm sitting here. And I was talking to the actor who was playing that part, which was the part I'd played. And I was trying to get across something about it. And I wanted to talk to him intimately. So I went over to him and I said, look, let me tell you something, Lou, what I want you to do here. And the entire company went, because they felt I had lost face by kneeling to him. And there are cultural differences, of course. And I said, no, I'm just talking to him. I'm not kneeling to him. I'm talking to him. And also, there were a lot of things that were strange. For instance, the actors make very little money. They make maybe $2 a performance. When you're rehearsing, 50 cents a day. 50 cents a day. And the older, it goes on a seniority basis. Even when we were opened, the older actors, there was a court-martial, and there were 6 people there, none of whom had a word to speak. They just sat listening as the judges. And 2 or 3 of them were quite senior, because a court-martial has officers of all ranks. And the older ones, obviously, were the commanders and captains and so forth. And I found that those actors were making more money than the actors that were playing the part Henry Fonda created, and that kind of thing. It was but it was a fascinating experience. And
do they know who you were or
No,
are?
no.
You could walk around China and no one would know who you were.
No movie made since 1945 has ever been shown commercially in China. That was the year of the victory of the Chinese communists.
They've seen no movie?
They see movies, but not
ours.
Western movies made since that time. There's a very large Chinese film industry. They make their own movies, and they see some movies, but no American films made since 1945. So I had no identity at all, except the Chinese find big noses to be very ugly, so I stood out a lot. But it was, then after the play closed, I'm sorry, after we left, after our successful opening, it kept on running for several months. They took it to Shanghai. And during the demonstrations in Tiananmen Square, several months after we left, the company, it's an all-male cast, and I had given them all jackets with the King Mutiny court-martial in Mandarin on the back. And of course, the largest character was Mutiny. And they also carried a banner with the title of the play, The Cane Mutiny, and that caught everyone's attention. And that night they pulled the electricity at the theater and closed the theater.
That was the end of the play.
That was the end of the play.
Next, Mr. Heston's wife of almost 47, 48, or 49 years when we return.
Let go of it. All these years, it's past now. It's time. I'm not the devil. I'm not responsible for everything. When your mother died, you blamed me. You almost convinced me. But that wasn't my fault, and neither is this.
I adore this man. I think I'd like something like 25 years just to sit and listen to him talk and tell stories. Maybe 26 years or 27, I don't know. But I guess I'm going to have to vie for his affection with a very special lady here today. Mr. Heston, please introduce the woman sitting to your left.
This is my friend, my co-actress, my photographer, the mother of my children, and my love. She also did all the photographs in the Beijing diary.
The ones that we've seen
Yes.
on the screen. Lydia, how did the two of you meet? Oh, did it fall off? That's all right. Just put it right back on and we'll go.
We met in a class at Northwestern University called...
Fundamentals of Theater Practice A40.
How can you remember that?
I remember it vividly. I think the crisis of my life, which happily I met satisfactorily, we had become a firm item by that time, and I had enlisted in the Air Force and was about to go overseas in the war. And I had proposed to Lydia several times, but at the time she said, "I'm in love with you, but I don't like you. And besides, I don't want to get married. I don't want to get married."
Wait, cut to Lydia.
Yeah.
Lydia, what was there not to like?
I was kind of freaky.
Was he not likable?
Oh, he was very attractive, but a little rough-edged.
No, that's a generous way to put it. Yeah.
In what way?
You really have me pinned down.
Would you like me to skip over it?
No. I would say he was living in a totally different life from mine. He had a divorced family and so on.
And there was a certain stigma about that? Were you
A
I
little.
don't think she thought
A little.
so. But I was
As a
kind
matter
of an
fact,
eccentric
I
fellow.
didn't know about it. I did not literally know about it until 3 days before I married him. And he said to me, by the way, the man that you think is my father is not my father. And I said, oh, what's your name? But it all worked out. So all parents
Let me
turned
tell the
out
rest
well.
of the story about. So I kept proposing because I knew I was going to be gone and maybe shot for that matter. And she said, there's this guy I knew in high school, and he's coming down, and I just have to go to dinner with him and some other guys.
Not true.
And so she went, and I said, sure, of course, you have to do that, naturally. And she said, there's going to be some other people there. And, of course, the night she went, I knew the restaurant they were at, and I thought it was a terrible idea. So I borrowed a car from a friend of mine, and I made up a whole speech, a very good speech. And, of course, I walked in the restaurant, and they were all sitting there, and I forgot the speech. So I went over to her, and I took her hand, and I said, you have to come with me. And she did.
When you came to New York, all right, during the war, that must have been very difficult, right? You said that one of the most important things in your life was that you survived
We
that.
managed.
Well, that was just a dumb question some journalist asked me this last VJ day.
And I perpetuated the dumb question. You have
No.
my heartfelt
but
apology.
they said, what was your most impressive, most memorable experience in World War II? I said, not getting shot. What do you think? I mean, of course it was.
Did you
No, I had a pretty easy war, actually. But I think Lydia finished
It was
school.
easy, but it was long.
Yeah, it was a long time.
2 years long is an awful long time.
That's in some senses, maybe the best way to begin a marriage. They always say the first 2 years are the hardest. We didn't see each other.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
That's for making the big brass give us a full season.
You got that trapeze wired for sound, Pigeon?
But you're the kind of fella who could talk anybody into anything.
Yes.
I want to ask Charles Heston, what was his most memorable film he starred in? Which one did you enjoy doing the most?
I've been asked that question before, and I don't have a good answer to it. You like pictures for different reasons. You like pictures that win a lot of prizes. You like pictures that make a lot of money, not necessarily the same picture. And you like challenging parts. There'd be a different answer. You know, I'm pleased that Ben-Hur won all the Oscars and all that stuff. But that's not the hardest part I ever played. I could use myself. It's a fictional character. Playing Michelangelo or Cardinal Richelieu was a harder job of acting. The Shakespearean parts are the hardest of all. You like them for different reasons, really. I think, and Lydia said this to me, that maybe the two best performances I've given are in Khartoum and Will Penny, neither of which was an enormous... Don't you feel that, honey?
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Khartoum and Will Penny.
Yeah.
And those aren't the ones that...
Elfriede.
Elfriede, yeah, Lydia likes Elfriede. I like Elfriede, yeah.
Question.
Do you plan on making any more movies in the near future?
I just finished one in London called Crucifer of Blood, about Sherlock Holmes.
How
Very
many
good
kids
picture.
do y'all have?
It'll be out next year. Yeah. It's amazing, the popularity of that character. Yeah. It's the Holmes and Watson are the most famous friendship in fiction.
She asked how many children.
2.
And they are?
My son, Fraser, who is a writer-director. My daughter, Holly, our daughter, Holly, who is an art historian. She works here in New York at Sotheby's.
Mrs. Heston, when did you realize your husband was going to be a big star?
I think I'm still waiting.
We'll take a I'm hoping that Charlton Heston is a proud Scotsman because we have some members of the Fraser clan. Could I ask you to stand up? This is, there you go. John, yes, this is John Fraser, and you asked to be here today.
We appreciate being here. We're delighted to be here and represent the Fraser side. We display the Fraser tartan. Hamish is wearing the ancient Fraser, and I, the red dress Fraser. And we're delighted to be here when you honor such a prestigious Klansman.
Thank you very much.
Bravo.
What is it? I'm going to give it to him, but what is it?
Well, this is a little trinket box, which he might place on his bureau and which he might place his cufflinks.
All right.
And we would like to present that to Charlton. And at the same time, it gives me a great pleasure to, with the blessings of the Clan Fraser Society of North America, our chairman Douglas James Fraser in Atlanta, we are hereby appointing you an honorary member of the Clan Fraser Society.
Well,
How are your knees, sir?
they look pretty good in the
Do
coat.
they? I was wondering. Thank you very much. How very sweet of you.
There is a Highland saying which I would like to offer to Charlton and as well to you. And it goes as follows. This comes from the heart of the Highlands. Charlton, from this day forward, and Sally, may the best you've ever seen be the worst you'll ever see.
Aww.
Very good. I'm very proud
Mr.
of
Heston?
it. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Mr. Heston, would you comment on the present movies in regards to violence, extreme violence, and sexuality that are shown in these movies?
Violence has been a part of the drama since the time of the Greeks. So has sex. I think, unfortunately, sex, while it's marvelous to do, is pretty funny to look at. And I think that's confused a lot of filmmakers.
Yes, Mr. Heston, I remember you from The Greatest Story Ever Told, Betty Davis.
Thank you.
What was your first movie?
The first one.
My first movie was Greatest Story. Did you say Betty Davis? Yes. No.
Betty Hutton.
Betty Hutton. No, that was Greatest Show on Earth. That was my second film.
That's right.
Yes, that was where Lydia first began as a photographer and photographing the circus, and it was marvelous to live with the circus for, 4 months, roughly. It was very exciting.
The list of leading ladies, Dorothy Lamour and Donna Reed and Jane Wyman and Ann Baxter and Marlene Dietrich and Zsa Zsa Gabor and Sophia Loren and Ava Gardner, Raquel Welch and Janet Leigh. Wow, has that man lived. We'll take a break. I think this would make an excellent Christmas gift. Beijing Diary, Charlton Heston. Scenes from the Ten Commandments and the Greatest Show on Earth, courtesy of Paramount Home Video. Thank you for being with us today.
Some members of our audience will receive, and a promotional fee has been provided by
Advanced Formula Centrum, a high-potency multivitamin multimineral formula with beta-carotene. Centrum, more complete, from A to zinc.
Remember the games you grew up with? Your kids can grow up with them too. Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, and Uncle Wiggily. From Milton Bradley. Remember.
Get your whole wash fresh and clean at a refreshingly low price. Arm & Hammer laundry detergents, liquid or powder, from the freshness experts.
Accommodations courtesy of Hotel Maclo, Midtown Manhattan's new luxury hotel. For reservations, call 1-800-MACLO. Stay tuned for your friends from the Disney Afternoon next.